Alan Brochstein, the founder of 420 Investor, the man himself. Alan, thanks so much for being here. You've been all over the place today. I want to ask you, what has been the biggest surprise you've learned today?
The biggest surprise I've learned is how many people are interested in cannabis. It's amazing. We had a conference, and you were there, in Toronto just a few months ago.
Right.
We have like double the people here, and it's not only how many, I'm surprised by the quality. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger investors and companies.
Has there been like a common theme you've observed today in talking? You've been on various panels and fireside chats. Is there a theme that you've picked up on?
Yeah, I think the theme there's a little bit of a rivalry starting to pick up between the U.S. and the Canadian companies.
I get that sense too.
Yeah, the last time we did it up in Toronto, and it was pretty heavy on the Canadian companies. This time it's a little bit flipped, but I think, there's been a lot of development since there's been the big investment, Canopy Growth, which from Constellation, and people are starting to see this is a real global industry, and the markets in the United States are going to be part of that global market, and I think there's a lot more confidence in that now.
Seems like every company here is vertically integrated. It seems like it's a pretty big part of being in this industry.
I think that's one of the things I've kind of been asking about today, to see what people think, because in most industries you don't see that vertical integration. And in Colorado, they made the companies become vertically integrated. In Canada, they initially you could only be vertically integrated. Similarly, in the United States, a lot of the new states are forcing vertical integration. Most of these CEOs know that cultivation is not really going to be where the money's made in the long run, and not everybody's core competency, and you could lose a lot of money by investing in capacity and if you're not a good grower, and it'll just be written off. So I think that it's good to hear that people are focused more on the brands of the products and also the branding on the retail side.
A lot of talk today about the States Act. How do you expect that to play out?
I'm so pessimistic in general when it comes to federal change. It's been very interesting to watch this play out. Inside the industry, it seems like people are always overly optimistic. I don't have any basis to say that they're wrong this time, but we've been disappointed a lot. I think it's important to remember that status quo is actually pretty good. As long as we don't find ourselves in a situation where the federal government's taking enforcement actions, which would push capital out of the industry immediately, I think it's good. It's going to be great if some of these reforms take place. The industry is not on the same path as Canada, where it's federally legal. There are a lot of impediments to success. And I think that if some of these elements, or all of them from the States Act, come through, which is basically putting in writing that the federal government is okay if a state wants to allow cannabis within its borders, I think this is going to be a very big thing. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, no one knows. I asked you this question, Alan, in August, and I'm going to ask it to you again. What inning is this industry in? I believe in August, I think you said it was in the second inning.
Yeah.
Do you sit top of the second or bottom of the second?
I'm going to go to the third now.
Okay, we moved an inning.
Yeah, well,
all right.
Because of this. So up until that point in time, there was really that one big deal on the table, Constellation and Canopy Growth, and that had just hit literally that morning of the conference, or the day before. And since then, the reason why I think we're further developed, I'm going to move it to the fourth inning for two reasons. So the first reason I was going to say took us to the third, which is we've seen more large multinational companies doing cross-border investment or partnerships. And so we're starting to basically see the cannabis industry partner with a lot of the other beverage and tobacco companies. So that's one aspect. But here's the other one that I think has really changed things. So since that conference, we've seen a lot more companies in the United States go public, and these companies are going public with annual revenue approaching or exceeding $100 million a year, and with a clear vision to get that to 200, 300, 400 million a year over the next few years. So the reason why it's a little bit later in the game, these companies are raising capital, they're getting investors. It's going to start to crowd out some of the companies that aren't yet public, and they're going to have to decide how are they going to compete with these companies that have already raised all this money. A similar thing happened in Canada, where you had the haves and the have-nots, and even to this day, there's only one or two handfuls of companies that have substantial capital and could be long-term players probably. Everybody else kind of in the niche, focused on smaller type markets. So I think we're further along right now, and You know, that means there's more downside if our federal government messes with things, but at the same time, the game is moving nicely, and if the States Act comes through, it's going to take us maybe to the 6th inning.
Wow. All right, Alan Brochstein, the founder of 420 Investor. Thanks a lot, Alan.
Thank you.